Okay, here we are continuing our discussion on frames and frame assembly. In this session, I'd like to cover foundation options and wiring of frames. There are four options when it comes to foundation. There's a traditional wax foundation, there's plastic foundation, there's a combination of plastic and wax foundation, and there's foundationless. Your first option is traditional wax foundation. This is a piece of crimped wired foundation. You can see the wires embedded in the wax. I don't know if you can see, but along the edge the wire actually protrudes out further and is bent over. That wire goes behind when you use the wedge top bar frames and locks the foundation in. Wax foundation comes in many different sizes. You can get it with or without the wires. This one happens to not have the wires, and this works well if you want to make starter strips. You obviously don't want to have to cut the wire. Here's another piece. This is what you use for comb honey. You obviously don't want wires in that as well because people are going to be chewing on it. You can see the color difference. How the comb honey wax is almost like a pure white. It's really clean. Most refined wax, because once again you want it to be nice and white. People are going to be chewing on it and ingesting. The other two are not such a high quality, but they're going to be used for either extracting honey or brood. Another option is plastic foundation. There's two choices when you buy plastic foundation. You can buy just a plain plastic, or you can buy it, it's called wax coated. It has a nice thin film of wax on it that helps with making the bees accept it quicker and start building on it sooner. If you're going to buy plastic, I strongly recommend spending a few extra pennies to get the wax coated, because it does make that much of a difference. You'll find people that say you can melt wax and put it on with a brush or rub it on and stuff. It doesn't do as nice a job. It's a lot more work, and it's really not worth it. Just spend a few extra pennies and buy the wax coated plastic. Another option is the combination plastic and wax foundation. I don't have any to show you. You can see it in the catalogs. There's nice pictures of it and stuff. But I can give you an overview of what it is. It's basically a laminate foundation with a plastic center core and two thin sheets of wax on either side, laminating through the plastic in the middle. And basically what that does is the plastic core gives it a lot of strength, and the wax on the outside makes the bees accept it much better. There are a few different brands. One that's been around a long time is called Duragilt. I particularly don't like Duragilt, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. The reason what separates Duragilt from the others that are on the market is the center core plastic is basically a shiny flat sheet, and the cell impressions are only in the wax. And what happens, depending on if you put the foundation in when the bees aren't ready to draw it, or other times when they don't fully get it drawn and they need wax, they'll actually chew the wax off the plastic laminate, and all you will get then is just a shiny flat plastic, almost really smooth. And once they chew the wax off down to the plastic center, they'll never build comb on that again. Whereas the other laminate foundations that are on the market, they do have cell impressions on the center core, so if the bees do chew off the wax, they will go back and treat it just like any other plastic foundation, and can build wax on it at a later time. And the fourth option is foundationless. And foundationless is basically you give them no foundation and let them build the comb as they see fit, size, and leave it all more back to a natural type comb. What you do is you give them a guide or a starter strip for them to build their comb from, and that gives them alignment so they don't just draw a comb diagonally in the hive body and stuff, but they keep the comb in a frame so you can still remove it. You'll see here I use a Coroplast piece of sign that I cut, and I use the grooved top bar. I just slide it in and one shot with the air stapler and it's fine. You'll find a lot of people will take foundation and cut strips and put that in the frame and melt wax to hold it in place. Or you can take a wedge top frame, put your starter strip in there and use the wedge to hold it in place. I've never had much luck with that, any kind of banging or such, and the wax foundation starter strip will fall out. There are other people that take the wedge and just turn it on side and use that as a starter guide. You'll see people that'll glue popsicle sticks in, running the top bar through a table saw and making a 45 angle to a point. All that works. I just find the Coroplast to be easy. You just cut the strips ahead of time, slide them in the groove, and bang with the stapler, and you're good to go. And as you can see, they're in place. They're not going to go anywhere. The other thing you'll notice with foundationless, I prefer to put wires in the frame. You'll find a lot of the people doing foundationless choose not to do wires. But the problem with foundationless is the comb is very soft when it's new, and the bees tend not to want to attach it to the frame. Like here's a perfectly good example. You can see the bees did not attach this wax to the frame, only in a couple places inside, and this is pretty standard with them. It takes them a long time before they'll attach it. And that comb, even though this is older comb and hard, it's still pretty loose in that frame. And when it gets honey or brood and it's not as old comb, tipping the frame as much as that will cause it to try and level itself out. And then when you straighten it out, the comb will bend back the other way, and next thing you know, that whole chunk of comb falls out because this seam here is wiggled back and forth a few times and become loose, and now you have this big chunk of comb with either honey or brood, and what do you got to do with it and whatnot. So I prefer to wire my frames for foundationless. As soon as the bees draw it down to the wire, it's as good as being attached to the side, so you don't have to worry about how you handle it and positioning and worrying about comb failure. Extracting is another issue when you have no attachment of the comb. You want at least 3 sides to be attached before you attempt to extract. Here's a frame that was done with foundation, and you can see the bees attach it right around all 4 sides, and that comb is going nowhere. I wouldn't dare bang this one like that, or that piece is going to come out. You can see even on the foundation one where the bees actually filled in between the split bottom bars as well. So it's a matter of preference and time and somewhat of extent. Wiring is pretty cheap, but it definitely makes a difference in longevity of the comb. Now, of course, if you plan on doing crush and strain, you want to cut it out. Obviously, wires isn't sufficient for that, because then you're going to have wires to deal with and stuff. But if you're looking to either extract or to keep it as brood frames, I would strongly recommend wiring. If you're using wax foundation, I strongly recommend wiring it, whether it's just a plain foundation or even crimped wire. The horizontal wires really give it strength and prevent it from warping before the bees get a chance to draw it out. One thing you'll notice if you're going to wire a frame is there's little inserts in the sidebars that prevent the wire, when it's pulled tight, from cutting into the wood and then loosening up and then not providing the support necessary. Another option that you'll see in the catalogs is they sell pins that you just shove through the holes, and they basically go on each side. They have a groove in them and the foundation sits between them. Don't waste your money on them. What happens is they put all the pressure on a little bit of area where that pin is, and just a little bit of movement, the foundation cracks around the pin, and you might as well not even have them.